Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
It seems to run on some form of electricity.
And it was wrong. It was a bad call, Ripley. It was a bad call.
Bad call.
Some are good for fighting, others for dying.
It's Just Two Movies.
Welcome back to another episode of It's Just Two Movies. This is the first inaugural episode back from the new year. We took our little break. How's it feel to be episode 1?
I feel honored.
Good. If you've never heard the show before, what we do is we look at a good movie, then a bad movie, and that's it. We just kind of talk about them and goof off and stuff. My name is Daniel King. With me today is my nephew, Nate. Well, Nate Dogg, Nate N-O-double-G.
Howdy.
What's going on?
Nothing much. Post office job. Pretty steady. Christmas season was a nightmare, but
rain, sleet, or shine, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Got your new post office whip out there, I see. New to you.
Sure.
It's still kind of new. So what we customarily do here on the show is, if it's a first-time guest, as you are, Nate,
yes.
we let you pick the movie. And I'm not entirely sure that you understood what we're supposed to do here on the show, but why don't you tell the good folks out there in internet land what movie you went with?
As the good movie, Stephen King's Silver Bullet.
Yes, Stephen King's adaptation to film Silver Bullet, 1985 horror adaptation, 1 hour, 35-minute runtime, 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 45% on Rotten Tomato, 3.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. 91% of Google users liked it, probably because it's really hokey. This came out October 11th of 85, directed by Dan Attias, starring Corey Haim, Gary Busey, pre-motorcycle accident Gary Busey, actually, which was kind of refreshing.
Yep.
Megan Followers, Everett McGill, Stephen King's in it. I never could spot him. I know he's like in all of his adaptations. I didn't see him.
He's like a sneaky version of Stan Lee.
Terry O'Quinn was a fun get for this, though, because I was like, oh, shit. I think my favorite casting choice in this entire movie, though, is probably... Shit, I had him written down. William Newman is really great in this. He's like the gas station mechanic guy.
Oh, yeah. Probably one of my favorites.
Fuck, I can't find him now. Is the guy that's the bartender. Mm-hmm. It's just like a hard-ass old bartender. Yeah. He's got a baseball bat, says the Peacemaker on it. Yeah, that guy. He was fun. So if you were trying to sucker somebody into watching this like you did me, what would you tell them it's about without spoiling it?
It's about a kid in a wheelchair called the Silver Bullet. There's a lot of that in this film.
He's more than a kid in a wheelchair, though.
He is.
He's more than a kid in a wheelchair. He's got heart, damn it.
Yeah, huge amount of heart, and a sister that absolutely hates him.
Yeah, she sure does. She sure does. And he's like, God, he's like, gosh, I'm so sorry, sis. And she's like, She's throwing around the B word. She's calling him a booger. It's pretty racy stuff for 1985. Even for a Stephen King adaptation. I actually did have a lot of fun with this. I'm kind of...
It's a fun movie.
I'll bag on it a little bit because after I was done watching it, I was like, that's it though, huh? That it didn't I will say it didn't stick with me. Yeah. Like if I hadn't taken notes, I just watched this the night before last, I would have forgotten a good chunk of it. Mm-hmm. But they're throwing around the B word. There's a pregnant lady. She loves Bob Saget. And she's trying to OD on some Mike and Ike's.
Yeah.
And then a werewolf comes in and fucking eats her.
Yeah.
So, in regards to the werewolf, I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good design.
Yeah.
I've seen a few werewolf movies, and it's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. I was talking to guest of the show, Doug Wicker, and I was like, yeah, I thought the werewolf looked pretty good. And he's like, werewolf's kind of shit. And then I was like, name some better ones. And he did. He named like 12 movies, and I had seen 2 of them. So I was like, okay, well, clearly I am not a werewolf connoisseur. So let me ask you a question before we get into the rest of this stuff. This is a purely werewolf-related question.
Yeah.
Do you prefer a wolf man or a wolf monster?
Oh, that is a good question.
I personally am of the school of thought that the wolf monster is a much cooler looking creature.
Yeah.
However, the transformation, a little harder to pull off because it doesn't resemble a man.
Yeah, that is a bit of a problem in this film and the film that we'll be watching in a bit.
I don't mind a classic Wolfman, though. Like, if I'm being completely honest. You ever see the one with Anthony Hopkins they redid?
Yeah, it really depends.
It's a bad movie. I can't believe they got Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro in that movie. It was trash. But the Wolfman part of it, I was like, oh, it's just like classic, classic Universal Studios monster Wolfman. I kind of enjoyed that.
It really depends on how well you do it. Either it is a Wolfman or a Wolf monster. It really depends on how well it's done.
It could be a wolf.
Design.
Could be a wolf woman.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
You ever see a wolf with like knockers?
Well, you'll be seeing that in the next film we'll see.
So the next one we're going to watch, I mean, I know you guys can tell from the title card, like when you click on the episode. So we're doing, you know what? I'm just going to save it in case you didn't look, a little bit of sizzle for later in the show. So you got Marty. It's Corey Haim. He's got a gas-powered motorized wheelchair, and it's called the Silver Bullet.
I've never wanted one more in my life.
It's pretty fucking cool, man. That's like we live on like kind of a farm ranch style location out here where if you need to go check the mail, it's a bit of a jaunt. Our trash cans are like 120 yards away from the house. So if I had a little gas-powered motorized wheelchair, that would be great. I'd be like, I'm going to go get the mail. I went to school with a kid that was in a motorized wheelchair.
I had a buddy,
but he always had an electric one. Like I'd never seen a gas-powered motorized wheelchair, and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Really cool design considering it was, in the film it's a homemade gas-powered wheelchair made from his uncle.
Yeah. So did they touch on that? Like Gary Busey made the OG one that he has like at the beginning of the film.
Yep.
And then he soups it up.
Oh yeah.
Later in the movie.
It's actually a different one.
Oh, it's a totally different?
Totally
so
different.
he still has the OG Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
And then he's got Silver Bullet 2.0 or whatever. It's a fucking cool wheelchair is the point. So Gary Busey, he's like, he's this kid, Corey Haim, Marty. It's his drunk uncle. He's like, Mr. Dirty Jokes, and haha. He's like, your mom, you dad. This ain't your dad. This ain't your granddad's uncle. He's he's got dirty jokes.
Drinking, playing poker late night, way past that kid's bedtime.
Oh, how old? Did they ever say how old Marty is in this? He's
don't know.
13, maybe, something best guess. 13, 12, something like that. His sisters.
I was guessing they're trying to aim for younger.
I think his sister says, I was 15 that spring, or something, something of that nature. So he's clearly younger than her by a couple years. I love the way she's all about equal opportunity when they're on their way home from the picnic or whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, blah, 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 blah. She's like, well, you know what? Fuck this. And Marty's a little asshole. And then she's like, be nice to your brother. And she's like, oh, well, he can't do any wrong because he's crippled. Fuck that kid. I was like, all right, yeah, get him. This is, I thought as a 1985 Stephen King adaptation that this was going to be kind of bloodless. Not the case.
Yeah, not the case. It
not
was
the case.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, some of the gore is actually pretty good for 1985.
It's pretty well done. Well, considering that it has been digitally remastered, and it looks a lot better than it did back in the 80s.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. At least that's the version that I see that I saw. You can tell that it's just acrylic paint sometimes.
Yeah.
But the way it was done on a CRT screen or on a projector, you wouldn't have been able to tell. You would have been like, oh, that almost looks like real blood.
Yeah, some of it, and like they're not being stingy with it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like they're
man.
Like it's.
They're spraying it everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's kind of a massacre. When the pregnant lady who loves Bob Saget is trying to kill herself, and the werewolf comes in, it's like fucking clawing her skin off her back and shit.
Oh man, the first time I saw that,
I thought that looked pretty good, man. It's like it's pretty convincing. Can I tell it's fake? Well, absolutely, absolutely. It's from 1985. You can tell it's just a guy wearing a hairy glove. Yeah, but it didn't look bad. I was pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got to say a lot of the stuff in this film, a lot of those practical effects were really well done.
What's a thing about this that you're just like, oh man, that's my shit. I love this part.
Probably got to say, bit of a jump. It's the encounter between the cop who is in the middle of the night approaching the suspected werewolf.
Are you talking about the sheriff? Like Terry O'Quinn, the bald guy?
No, this is quite a bit of a jump. So he's in the middle of the night going to the church, knocking on the door for the Reverend.
Okay.
So he goes into, he's sulking around, looking around, goes into the shed, finds the car, and sees a scratch in the car that matches the paint of Silver Bullet 2.0.
The old Silver Bullet, yeah.
So he looks even further, realizing, oh, this is the killer. So he looks further into the garage or shed or whatever that is, encounters the Reverend, and he kind of right there. That's when the transformation is done right in front of this sheriff, and it's really well done. I really like how it's done.
I think, and we are going to jump around a little bit. This is a movie from 1985. I mean, this movie's 36 years old. If you haven't seen it, either do or don't. Whatever. There are some fun bits in it. My favorite part is when the preacher's having a nightmare and he's preaching, and everybody in the church starts turning into a werewolf. I was like, this is amazing. And it's shot in such a way where you see some of them and you're like, well, that one looks kind of shit. But then you look at the person next to them and you're like, well, that looks good though. Yeah. So every little frame of that bit, there's something great in there in every single frame of it. They've got the air bladders and the masks or whatever that are swelling up and pulsating and stuff. It looks great, man. I was very pleased with the overall werewolfiness, although I'm told by someone who knows more than me about werewolf pictures that it's just kind of okay. But I was very happy with it.
There are probably definitely films that have done it a little better, but
I'm sure not. It kind of makes me want to binge some werewolf movies.
I know, right?
Because he was telling me about all these other ones. He's like, these are amazing werewolves in all these movies. And I'm like, fuck up. Yeah. I don't know. I've never seen any of those.
That's kind of the thing when it comes to the werewolf genre.
Now, one thing I will say, I have very mixed feelings about how this thing is scored and the soundtrack to it. It's kind of delightful because I catch myself laughing, but it's for the wrong reason. It's not delightful because I'm like, oh, that's fun. That's a nice touch. No, I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? There's just weird fucking oboe scores when there's a mean lady walking or whatever.
It's not the greatest.
No, on the day in 1985, that was very commonplace.
Yeah.
That's very commonplace. And they were probably like, oh man, this is going to slap. This is good shit. Mm-hmm. And man, in retrospect, just going that far back, I'm like, man, movies were fucking weird, huh?
Yeah.
Just audibly, who's in charge of the background sounds and went, this is it.
I have to. I mean, I was talking to a buddy of mine about the same thing. A lot of movies from this era. It's got to be the same three guys who are scoring all these movies. I love it, but man.
Yeah, like I said, it's not bad, but I'm sure after 4 or 5 beers, it's probably much more humorous. It does have some pretty good stuff in it, though. The werewolf carnage is the best bit, but they are unfortunately a little conservative with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not showing it to you, but when the girl's drunk dad, Timmy. The little girl's name's Tammy, and her dad's real drunk, and he's like, Tammy! It sounds like Timmy from South Park. Mm-hmm. He's screaming at Tammy, and she comes in later. He's drunk, and he's like, I'm going after the shed. I got a shotgun. I'm going to shoot somebody. And the werewolf, grabs him from under the shed or whatever.
And then he gets impaled by
He gets impaled by a broken 2x4 or whatever. It's pretty good. Show me the fucking gross werewolf under the floor, though. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That was kind of the thing with a lot of films from there. They would a lot of these films would show bits like that, and then for some reason, why are you cutting away from what could have been an incredibly gory scene? Sometimes avoid it, sometimes don't. I don't get it.
It's who was it that said, can you define pornography? I think it was Andy Warhol. He's like, I can't tell you what pornography means. He's like, I can't define pornography, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
And that might be the case, is they're like, well, if we go a little too hard, nobody's going to watch it, because America in 1985 is pretty conservative as far as what's getting viewed on television. I think Roseanne was real hot at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't mean sexually. I just mean on the ratings charts or whatever.
I mean, I bet probably to somebody.
Somebody was like, "Ooh, baby, Roseanne Barr, ow!" So I'll spoil the hook for the whole movie, and then we'll just talk about whatever you want, like in relation to the movie.
Yeah,
the werewolf, it's the preacher, and he's very sinister and handsome, low rent David Hasselhoff.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first 5 times I saw him. I was like, is that young Hasselhoff? And it's not. It's just a guy that looks very, very similar.
I remember
to David
thinking
Hasselhoff.
that too. I was like, that can't be.
Yeah, if you look up Everett McGill, 1985, he looks very much like David Hasselhoff. Less curly hair. I mean, other than that, pretty spitting image.
To be fair, that probably is why they went for him.
Yeah, Hasselhoff is a big deal. Big deal mid-'80s. The whole film really does have that kind of Stephen King formula to it. You know what I mean? Like, you can very clearly feel that it's a work of Stephen King. Would I have not seen that, I would have been like, I wonder if this is a Stephen King book. And I'm sure the book is better.
Oh, yeah, that probably is the case with most of the films.
Yeah, it's hard to get a guy in a Wolfman suit to trump your imagination.
Yeah.
They've got the old oh yeah, they go to the kids. They're like, "Fuck, it's a werewolf," and the sister's like, "Fuck you, it's not a werewolf," and the kid's like, "But it is, because I stabbed him in the eye with a bottle rocket."
So actually, before then, it was kind of speculating. This kid was like, after encountering that his friend, the friend of his, what was his name?
I think they started with an R.
Started with an R. I knew that.
Richie, maybe.
Randy, Richie.
Might have been a Randy.
Russell?
Reginald.
I
don't fucking know. It's probably not Reginald. But we're going to pretend that it was.
Yeah. So Reginald was they were out flying kites, having a good time.
Yeah. As children in the 80s are wont to do.
And Marty's sister came and told him, hey, first of all, get out of the tree. How did he get into the tree?
That's an excellent question. It was what I was wondering. I was like, well, he's just a fucking climbing machine, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they showed him climbing out of his window at some point in the film. But
I guess I missed that.
He was climbing out of the window on like a grid kind of thing, climbing down onto his chair that he stashed there somewhere.
Very dangerous to have stashed wheelchairs around the place.
It wasn't just a wheelchair, though. He somehow got the Silver Bullet 2.0 hidden behind the building, and I guess snuck somewhere.
So
crawled. Yeah. So
before they. Oh no, you go ahead.
Yeah, I went on a bit of a tangent, but they were out flying kites. Sister came out and said, "Hey, get out of the tree. Come home. Dinner's done." So he looks back and says to Reginald, "Hey. You coming out?" And he's like,
good chap. Will you be dining with us this eve?
And he's like, "No, I'm gonna keep flying kite." So, sure,
I'm gonna keep flying kite. Sounds wrong, but it's right.
Yeah.
No, I fly kite.
So, funny thing about this film, you know the kid's gonna die because that last part of the scene, he looks away.
It's so fucking weird. It's broad daylight. It's like 4 p.m.
I wouldn't even say 4. I think like 2:30.
Well, it's like spring. Also, they go on about how it's like, oh, it's spring. It's a spring festival, and this and that.
So
and
so
I'm like, it's gonna be daylight until like 8 p.m.
Yeah, like 8 or 9.
This very sinister score over the background, and this kid's just like looking at his kite in the sky.
A good 5 to 7 seconds.
You can very clearly tell though, the kite string that he has, there's just like a man on a ladder holding the string. Like you can tell it's not attached to a kite.
Yeah.
And then they just cut to footage of a kite in the air. So you're telling me that Reginald stood out there and flew this kite for 5.5 fucking hours until he was devoured by a werewolf.
Yep.
Who then reeled in the kite and like got blood on it.
Yep.
What the fuck?
So with how much blood there was, this kid who was talking to his uncle,
Marty?
Marty was talking to his uncle like the next day or the day after and was like, this can't be somebody. This got to be like a monster out of nowhere. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I think it might be a werewolf.
Because it could be, I don't know, maybe a werewolf.
Yeah.
I would like one time in a movie like this for them to be like, I don't know, man. It's almost like it's a bunch of goblins or something. Just to be wrong, you know what I mean? That makes it feel more believable. Like if you're just wrong.
Yeah.
A little bit of incompetence in a film really goes a long way to get that real feel. You know what I mean? Have you seen the new Suicide Squad movie?
I haven't, but I've heard it's pretty decent.
It's fantastic, I think. but there are a bunch of government agents or whatever, and they're incompetent. There are bits where like, oh, who is supposed to do the thing? And they're like, I thought that was your thing to do. And they're like, oh, fuck, you're supposed to do that, Jerry. And it feels real because these are just people that have government jobs that fucking hate what they do for a living.
Yeah.
So a little bit of not hitting the nail right on the head every time really, really helps out for that kind of stuff.
So yeah, that's not there in this film.
No. He's like, I don't know, I'm just taking a wild stab at it. Could be a werewolf. Maybe it's a preacher. Or perhaps it's a man of the cloth. I don't know. That would be disarming. If I was a werewolf, I would want to be a preacher. He's a weird, like, he's trying to justify his werewolfy actions via the good book.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere in the film.
It kind of made him as a man creepier, though.
It did. It really did.
That part worked for me.
Because, like, in the first scene where you know, okay, this guy's a werewolf, is in the dream sequence, where everyone starts turning into a werewolf and they go after him and he wakes up screaming. That was a good scene. It makes it look like that this guy's having a hard time controlling his condition. And then, like, later in the film, you're like, oh no, this guy's like really leaning into it. He's perfectly not only okay with him being a werewolf, but is justifying his actions.
Oh yeah, he's fucking into it. He loves it. If it was normal for him to just werewolf out every night, I think he would do it.
Yeah, that's another thing of this film. They kind of grab the general folklore of a werewolf and kind of make it their own thing.
All right, you're about to get to my favorite part, so I'm going to back up a little bit.
All right.
I do have a hands down favorite part where I was like, all right, I readjusted in my seat. I was like getting more engaged. I was like very into it at this point. But anyway, prior to this, Gary Busey's like, hey, why don't you roll on out here, dog? Talking to Marty. Marty rolls out. He's like, all right, check it out. Silver Bullet 2.0. This thing looks like a fucking motorcycle that just has a regular chair in it. Like, it's fucking bizarre. I beseech you, please look up Silver Bullet wheelchair. Like, just Google it and see what you get, because it's got these big fucking chrome pipes. It's got fucking flames on it. But it has, like, like dirt bike wheels.
No, it's still the wheelchair wheels.
It's still the wheelchair wheels?
Yeah.
He's doing like 40 miles an hour in that thing. That seems terrifying. Like, I'm like, that'd be pretty bitchin' if it went 10 miles an hour and no faster.
Yeah.
Because when he's doing 40, like passing that person on a curve. On a curve, like a dumbass. Because he's, 12 or whatever. Somebody should be like, hey, listen, let's talk about basic traffic rules since you're, screaming down the interstate passing Farmer Bob.
That thing is loud too.
In a non-passing lane.
Oh man,
what a fucking shithead. But so his uncle, he soups up this thing. It's badass, and he's like, "Oh, thanks, Uncle Shitface." Uncle Red, that's his name.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh man, fuck you, the best, Uncle Red. I wish you were my real dad." But then that'd be incest because his mom's his sister or whatever. Anyway. He really loves his Uncle Red. His Uncle Red made him some cool shit. I have a note in here about, like, me talking a bunch of shit on Gary Busey being a drunk uncle, and then I was like, well, I guess I'm the drunk uncle in this exchange that we're having here right now. Yeah, so he gets his wheelchair all souped up, and then to add insult to injury to the kid's parents, Gary Busey's like, hey, how about some illegal fireworks? You know what I'm saying? You want some of those?
Oh, yeah, because the fireworks show was canceled due to the multiple murders in this small town.
Right, as one would.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, there are people being, like, literally ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
Let's not do 4th of July. So it's been months now also, which wasn't entirely clear.
Yeah, that's another thing.
So that's the timeline. This spans several months, these murders do. Because they're like, oh, I remember that spring. Oh, it was spring.
Yeah, it's spring, and all of a sudden it's 4th of July.
Gotta cancel the fucking fireworks, bud. It's like, wasn't it like 3 days? Like, it felt like it was like 3 days. No, it's been like 4 months or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was, I always have a note when, like, the timetable is weird.
It's weird.
It's linear, though.
Yeah, it's linear. That's good.
I'm down with that. So Marty's got him some illegal fireworks, and he goes out to, like, a very cool wooden bridge in a swamp, I guess.
I think it's a pond or a lake.
Where does this take place? Did they say where this is?
I'm guessing somewhere in the Midwest.
Like Gary, Indiana?
Yeah, probably.
Probably Illinois.
I was thinking probably near, because they've got a southern twang to their speaking.
Indiana, maybe?
So I'm thinking Indiana.
Could be Indiana. Could be a Georgia.
I wouldn't say Georgia.
I didn't see a peach.
It's very Midwest.
Peach. No peaches.
It's very Midwest.
Let's talk about the drunk, all the drunk townspeople, like the guy that's always starting shit with the sheriff's deputy.
Yes. Private Justice.
Private Justice, yeah. That was his name in the military. He never got promoted beyond private.
Poor guy.
Right. Yeah, so they've got all these guys, and they're like, fucking Sheriff, he's the sheriff deputy. You wouldn't call the man fat, but he's a little on the chunky side.
Mm-hmm.
And this other guy's like, fuck you, Gary, you fat piece of shit. You suck. You're a shitty sheriff. I'll beat your ass. And Jerry's like, oh, aren't your taxes in arrears or whatever? Zing, got him. So he's just like, and eventually these two are getting ready to throw down. And then is it the bereaved? The kid that was flying the kite, he's dead. His dad comes in. He's like, hey, shut the fuck up. My kid's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some weird scenes with like the villagers where they're trying to do some character building, but I don't know that they need to for that guy. I would have rather them had a little more character building for the gas station attendant, the guy where Marty goes to get his wheelchair filled up.
I feel like there should be more of him in this film.
Yeah,
there really wasn't.
He's really delightful in it.
Oh yeah.
He's a very distinct looking gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was fun though. I liked him. He's having a little shit with Marty. He's like, you want me to fill her up? You want me to check the oil? He's like, yeah, sure. He goes, you want me to check the driver's bullshit meter? And they're having a little laugh. It's fun. So Marty's out, he's shooting his fireworks. He sees the werewolf. He shoots a firework at the werewolf, and then he fires up the old silver bullet and gets the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Right after hitting the werewolf squaw in the eyeball.
Yes. So, funny thing about that scene, who goes in the middle of the night while there's an active murder? I mean, yes, he's 12, but like alone with fireworks, and he sets one off.
On a wooden bridge.
On a wooden bridge.
For a kid in a wheelchair on a wooden bridge by himself over a river lighting fireworks off the bridge.
Like feet away from his face, having the time of his life.
He is too. Like they're pretty big rockets and he's backed off like maybe 3 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever had an incident with a firework?
I know people who have.
We had one a couple of years ago out here. We had like one of the big, like shoots missiles, like the big square thing that you sit down and it shoots up a bunch of missiles. And it had started going off and then it fell over on its side and started shooting right at us. So everybody else scattered. And my dad is like, he can't like get up and sprint. You know what I mean? So I just like got in front of him and was like shielding him. It was not cool, man. It was very much not cool. So I could see where anybody would be like, hey, get off the fucking bridge, kid. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best possible thing that happens is he lights the bridge on fire accidentally and escapes with his life.
Yeah. And
then burns the bridge down, causing thousands of dollars in damage to public property. Just a real shithead.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, you're hearing he would shoot off the fireworks, shoot off a couple more, and then he would stop because he hears something going on.
He's the kid that's paranoid about the werewolf in the first place. He's
paranoid.
Like, look, it's a werewolf. Nobody believes me, but I fucking know better. But I'm still going to go out here by myself and shoot off fireworks.
Actually, at this point of the film, he was skeptical about it. He wasn't sure if it was a werewolf, but he was like, it could be.
Could be goblins.
Could be
goblins, could be werewolf, not real sure. Could be just a murdering man.
Yeah. Who's very, very vicious and tears people apart.
Could be a Freddy Krueger. Yeah. You know, who knows? Could be a Jason Voorhees, maybe. Yeah. Nah, there's no teenagers dead yet.
Yeah.
It's just like old people and kids. Well, I guess that pregnant girl that loved Bob Saget, she might have been a teenager. Did you think that was odd that she had a picture of Bob Saget on her, like just a black and white like headshot of Bob Saget on her like nightstand or whatever?
I mean, on the wall I can get that, but on the nightstand that's kind of odd.
Like a framed picture. This is not like
it's not like a picture.
It's not like a girl and you've got a poster of your favorite boy band. No. This is a framed and matted headshot black and white photograph of Bob Saget. Like in a picture stand.
Yeah, like I would even kind of be okay with that if that was also signed.
So in this universe, is Bob Saget a famous actor, or is he just a man that's in the town that they couldn't get to show up to any of the shoots for the movie?
I think yes.
You think he's just a man in the town?
I think the answer is yes, both famous and also lives in town.
Really? I think Bob Saget's just from that town, but he's too busy trying to make it out in Hollywood?
I mean, why else would this random person have a headshot on their nightstand?
It's pretty fucking weird, man. It's a weird, bizarre part of the movie that I thought about way too much. And I was like, is that a picture of Bob Saget? I paused it. I was like, that is Bob Saget. And then I kept watching the movie and I kept thinking about it. I'm like, but why though? Like, does she know Bob Saget? Is he going to be in this at some point? Is he just like her boyfriend who's coming back from the war? Maybe he's going to be the vampire, or maybe that's just famous actor Bob Saget. In which case, why is it not a poster? Like, why does she have it framed? And why is
she being weird about this?
It's very weird. Yeah. So she's going to kill herself. She's just a weird gal. And when she's telling that guy she's pregnant, and he's like, "Hey, listen, honey, that's your oven, but it ain't my bun. You know what I'm saying? Think about the good times, sweetie," or whatever. Just being a real piece of shit. I thought that was delightful. Delightful character building. I love how Stephen King likes to paint pictures of certain people just being fucking awful, because that's how some people are. You know what I mean?
With a lot of care.
Like in It. Like people who live in Derry, Maine, they're just fucking awful to each other. Yeah. Like he's gonna carve his initials in that kid's belly or whatever. Why? Because the kid's fat and he likes the Backstreet Boys. Yeah. So why wouldn't you physically assault him?
There's a lot of his films, a lot of background characters are either black or white. It's either they're really good people, or just god awful.
Really awful, yeah. I like the inclusion of really awful. I would say like a lawful chaotic or lawful evil individuals. You know what I mean? Just bad apple through and through. Yeah. That's fun. That's fun. I do like characters to have a little more agency than that, because I think people are more than that. However, in his like fictional worlds, they work so well to help carry the film. Oh yeah. So he bottle rocket in the eyeball, a werewolf, and then he goes and tells his sister, he's like, "Listen, that thing I was telling you about the werewolf, no shit, real talk, werewolf." And she's like, "Fucking, you're so stupid. It's not a werewolf. Can't be." He's like, "Well, I shot it in the fucking eyeball. So if you see a man in town, or a woman, I didn't see no werewolf titties. Could be a lady. Ladies can do things. Could be. Feminist as fuck." Yeah. Is if you see somebody in town that's missing an eye, that's the motherfucker. Because when I shot him in the eye, they were a werewolf. So she's like, "Well, I got to go do bottles and cans for the drive for the church. For the church, yeah. It was for so she's church. Doing that, and she's like, peeping on everybody, like trying to get a look at everybody's eyeballs.
For example, in the barber shop, she walked in and asked for cans, and there was this guy who was just reclined back in the chair with a towel on his face.
Yeah, hot towel.
Yeah, hot towel. So she walks up, removes the towel, and is like, "Got any cans for me?" And he's like, just staring at her.
Yeah, and she's like, "Guess that's a no," and just covers his face back up. So fucking weird. Like, why wouldn't you just answer the girl?
I mean, to be fair, would you have any cans and bottles on you?
At the barber shop? I'd be like, "Yeah, at my fucking house. I'll throw them in the yard. You can go pick them up or whatever." Yeah. But it is fun. So she eventually finds out, she's like putting all the bottles and cans back in the storage room. She sees the baseball bat. She's like, the preacher comes in. He's got an eye patch on. She's like, "Fuck, it's you." She's like, I ran home. So they figure out it's a werewolf. It's the preacher. She's not totally convinced it's a werewolf, but she is convinced that the preacher is a murderer.
Yes.
So they go to rope old drunk Uncle Red into it. So drunk Uncle Red, he's not having it. He's like, "This is some bullshit." And then finally they're like, "All right, suppose it's not a werewolf, but it's still the preacher." And he's like, "All right, yeah, I can swallow that." So he spends like 20 minutes telling them that they're fucking crazy. And they're like, "But wait, what if it's just not a werewolf? What if he's just doing murders?" And he's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm on board with that." So they get this fucking half-cocked plan to catch him in action. And then what's the catalyst where the uncle's like, "You know what? Probably is a werewolf." I've forgotten.
I'm pretty sure he's... I'm pretty sure he was entirely skeptical the entire time. Just almost definitely sure, no, it's not a werewolf. The whole time up until the final scene.
Yeah, right. Well, there's like when they're finally like, all right, that son of a bitch, he's a werewolf and we're going to get him. Then there's a weird, like, very short montage of like Marty watching kids play baseball, wishing his legs worked. Do you remember that? You know what I'm talking about? He's just like sitting there, like grabbing the fence, watching kids play baseball. Well, it should have happened 40 minutes earlier if you were going to put it in the movie. You know what I mean?
A bit late in the film.
Yeah, it shows the preacher like stalking him or whatever. He gets him to like a barn or some shit. And then Marty's like screaming at the neighbor on the tractor. He's like, Mr. Smith, help.
Yeah, high-speed chase with the silver bullet. And
I'm calling bullshit that old man on the tractor could hear him.
Yeah,
you ever been on a fucking tractor?
Not.
No way.
No.
Especially not some little 12-year-old kid in a building 40 yards away going, help me. Ain't no way.
No way.
Yeah, so you get the sinister preacher. He knows that Marty knows, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Like, not even as a werewolf, just as a man. I'm just gonna murder you. And Marty calls the guy, and the preacher gets away. So now they're like, they convince the uncle that they're like, listen, it may or may not be a werewolf. There's about a zillion different stories about werewolves, but I can tell you one thing. They all agree on silver bullet. So Marty's got like a medallion or a pendant or whatever that he wears around his neck.
Yep.
That should have
the first time you've seen this medallion too.
Yeah, he just all of a sudden has it. They've never mentioned it prior. It's not like, oh, it's Saint Michael or whatever. Like he very easily they could just be like, oh, he's Catholic.
Yeah. Same thing with the sister's necklace, because she also takes hers off and is like, here, use mine too.
Yeah, take this shit, get it made into a silver bullet.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part of the movie. This is my favorite part of the whole movie. You know,
I can probably guess why. Yeah,
the guy at the gun shop or whatever. He's like, could be. I guess you could shoot I don't know, maybe a werewolf. The guy. Oh my God!
You gotta have the beckoning old guy in every film.
Oh my God,
he's so good.
He's great.
He is amazing.
He's amazing casting. His like 2 lines that he has in the entire. Like, I wish he would have been in the whole movie. There should be a bit where like he just runs a general store and Marty has to go in there to get, I don't know, roofing nails for his dad or something.
They definitely need more of him in this.
Yeah,
film.
I would have dialed him way the fuck up because he is magical, mystical, hilarious.
And kind of knows what's going on.
Oh, dude, he's great. He's great. He's like, oh yeah, my nephew, he saw the Lone Ranger, and he gives him the stuff, and he's like, let me guess, silver bullet. And he's like, yeah. So he makes him the silver bullet, and he's like, yeah, should it's a light load, so it shouldn't tumble when it's fired. And he's like, well, we ain't gonna shoot it, it's a silver bullet. Why would you shoot it or whatever? He's like, I don't know, could. Maybe shoot a werewolf. Just fucking saying sweet shit, man. I love that old man. That's my favorite part.
One
of
of my favorites too. Yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
Really cheesy, but it's so good.
So good. Yeah, that dude for me. I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, yeah, the werewolf's kind of sweet, but I don't know about this movie, Nate. I don't know. But then that guy totally redeemed it in under 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm back in. They're like, all right, we're gonna shoot the werewolf. Pretty sure he's coming tonight. Let's all hunker down in the house. We'll trick your parents into leaving so they think they're going on a romantic getaway when really they're just driving to New York to find out that there is no romantic getaway. They have to turn around and come home.
Oh yeah, that was another detail of this film. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was just weird. He's like, man, did you really win what great timing? And he's like, yeah, I didn't actually win a thing. They're just gonna drive all the way to New York and be like, motherfucker. Like, you could have told him anything. You could have just got them a hotel room across town. Like, anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? But he doesn't. He tricks them into, like, totally getting out of the state and going to the other side of the country for nothing. What a class act.
Yeah.
And as you would think, the werewolf does come in.
So they think that the werewolf will come in this night is because this night is a full moon.
The fullest of moons.
The fullest of moons.
Yeah. None of that half full moon weak ass shit.
No.
Not even a waxing gibbous. This is a full on motherfucking full ass moon. And yeah, he does. He absolutely comes because he's like, well, there's only 2 people that know I'm a fucking werewolf, so I guess I should probably eat them.
Yeah.
So he does. He's coming. He's werewolfing and whatever. And Gary Busey's like, come on, guys, fucking werewolves, come on.
So,
and then he sees it and he's like, motherfucker.
no, first first the werewolf cuts the power.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So I guess they still have their human, they're not all animal intuition. They still have like the thinking capabilities of a man.
Enough to do some kind of planning, some kind of figuring things out.
Right.
Before they make the kill.
He finally comes in. He throws Gary Busey through every piece of glass that they own.
Busts through the wall first.
Oh, yeah.
Tackles him, throws him around. Yeah.
Dude, he throws him into everything, man. If there's like, he just like will go in the kitchen, set out some glasses on the counter, and then throw Gary Busey into him. Just as much broken glass as you can possibly get in a movie. So Gary Busey, he's like flying through the air, crashing into shit. It's probably not Gary Busey. It's probably a different guy.
Yeah.
Because that's how that shit works. But anyway, they finally, they get the gun, and the kid gets the gun, and then the kid shoots the werewolf in the eye. Kid's going to need therapy.
The other eye.
Yeah, the other eye. So now it's like shot in both eyes.
Yep.
And then the only thing I could think, I was like, oh man, so the cops are going to come in and be like, holy fuck, werewolves are real. And then it started digressing back to a man. I was like, and then the cops are going to come in and go, holy fuck, why is this naked man with no eyes
the naked priest
in your
with
house?
Naked priest with no eyes.
Yeah, the church is not going to be happy about this. This is going to be scandalous. But they never really get to that. They're just
it just ends after that.
Yeah, it does. Wait, doesn't he quip? Does he have a little quip right there at the end? He says like a cheeky one-liner.
So he says, first the sister says, "Are you all right, Marty?" He says, "I don't think so. Something's up with my legs." And she's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "I don't think I can walk.
I can't feel my legs or something.
I don't think I'll never be able to walk again."
And then they have a laugh because he's already is. Did they ever say what happened to him? Like if he was in an accident or if he had polio?
At some point they said. At some point, the uncle said he was paralyzed.
Okay, probably fell out of a fucking tree, climbing like that fucking goddamn animal. Yeah, that's Silver Bullet. I don't know why we watched it for the first leg of the podcast. If you've seen the other episodes that are in our library, you can see that this one's a little different.
Yeah,
but I took your word for it, and you know what? I actually did kind of like this. Yeah. It was charming.
When it comes to werewolf films in the 80s, this one is probably one of my favorites.
Okay, all right. Well, I will definitely take that. If you had to give it werewolf thumbs out of 10 werewolf thumbs, how many werewolf thumbs would you give it?
I'd probably give it a good 8.
A good 8?
It's not the best, but it's definitely pretty good. I really enjoyed it.
As a werewolf movie, I would probably give it a 7. But as a movie, I would probably give it like a 6.5, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's some bits about it that are a little flat. This is common among almost every single Stephen King adaptation I've ever seen, with maybe the exception of Pet Sematary, but it's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, the first Pet Sematary was definitely one of his best adaptations.
Yeah, it's they all have a weird thing where they get a little flat kind of in parts of it where it just doesn't really make sense. It seems like kind of a reach, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to give this, I'll split the difference and give it like a 6.5.
Yeah, that's fair.
It didn't like blow me away, but I will say after the first like 5 minutes of it, I was like, this is going to be a 3 for me. I am not going to enjoy this. Why the fuck are we watching this?
So this film is not for everyone.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Look, here's the deal: is if we would have watched any other movie and you would have said we're watching Silver Bullet for the bad movie, I probably would have come back in here and given this an 8 or a 9 because it is fun, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So this is not like cinematic mastery by any stretch of the imagination.
Definitely not.
If you want kind of a hokey old werewolf thing, though, this is pretty fun.
Yeah. About that. This next film we're going to watch, it's going to make Silver Bullet look like a 20 out of 10.
No shit.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The
Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
The Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf. We're going to be right back. Here's a fake thing while we go watch The Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf.
This ad sponsored by Sorny Entertainment. At Amor Zen, you can rest easy knowing that your packages are safely inspected and properly packaged by our top agents. Hey, boss. Yeah, come over here for a second. Is it safe to send out this order? What do we got here?
Hey, let's see. Please, Okay, we got a DVD set of MacGyver TV movies. One large box, easy strike matches.
Yeah?
No, please. One large, oversized canister of hairspray. One fire retardant adult jumpsuit. One pack metal shower curtain rings, 12 count. And finally, one ridiculously large box of adult diapers. They don't give a shit. Send it.
Amour's in. It'll get there.
Shit ain't been bell. Now introducing Amazon in your back door, where you can set up a thing to unlock your back door, and we'll come inside and put our package, and then we'll leave, and you can relock your back door, but you'll still have our package in there. Amazon. We care about going to space. That's one. Hey guys, real quick, just wanted to throw out a couple special thanks for the folks who helped make this show possible. Big thanks to Lamplighter Productions for our artwork, Brad Sexton for our jams, Godsized Growing for some musical guest appearances, Missouri T-Shirt Company for that drip, and mad thanks to Dave who does all of our video editing for YouTube. We probably wouldn't even be on that platform were it not for him. If you want to check out anything that any of these amazing individuals are working on, all of their links and websites are in our bio. If you like the show or you want to get in contact with us, please email us at itsjusttwomovies@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram or Twitter at itsjusttwomovies. If you like the show and you want to support this, it's super easy to do. Just, leave us a like, rate us in app. You give us a good 5-star rating, that'd be fucking amazing. Or you can leave us a review and we'll read it out on the show. Yeah, so that's it. Quick interjection. Enjoy the show. Ha 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 ha. Wasn't that a funny ad space that was edited in there after the fact? So we just watched the Howling 2 Cruise Control. Your sister is a werewolf. The Howling 2. I could not find the budget for this anywhere.
Now that I think about it, I remember reading somewhere that it is...
You have to get a little closer there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I remember reading somewhere it is incredibly hard to find out what the budget is. It's a well-kept secret.
Well, I guess they're going to keep it. I don't know if it paid off, though. The Howling 2, your sister is a werewolf, who's only in the first, 30 seconds of the movie, is a 1985 horror indie film, 1 hour, 31-minute runtime. We watched it for free on Tubi. It's got a 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb, 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3 out of 5 on Vudu. 70% of Google users liked this movie. For something like this, that's surprisingly low.
Yeah.
This stars Christopher Lee, Sybil Danning, Red Brown, Annie McEnroe, Marsha Hunt, Judd Omen, and Ferdinand Main, and some other people that nobody gives a shit about because this is from 1985.
Mm-hmm.
So I will start by saying this is a delightful piece of neon hot 80s trash. I like this a lot. This was a lot of fun. Came out in January 1986 was its release date. Directed by Philip Mora. Music by... It doesn't matter. They have a band and shit in here. It's a weird... and cinematography. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad they throw this guy out here so I can throw him under the bus. Cinematography by Jeffrey Stevenson. Jeffrey, this is bad, man. You got to wipe off that camera lens. You just got to clean it occasionally. At least every now and then.
How does that happen?
I don't know. What would you say this movie's about?
Transylvania werewolves.
Transylvania werewolves. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's about a little bit of punk rock, some 80s techno pop, and Transylvanian werewolves that are kind of like vampires, or the people are just confused.
I think they're just confused.
I think maybe werewolves and vampires are two separate monster stories that are actually from the same monster in this world.
Maybe, I guess.
And finally one day they're just we're werewolves, whatever.
Yeah.
Because they don't seem to have any basic animal heightened senses. They can't smell you coming from a long way away or anything.
I mean, Sturba did see the guy in the dark window. That's about it.
While wearing glasses.
Yeah, while wearing sunglasses.
Well, she's the head werewolf.
Yeah.
So what would you say the plot of this is? Please. Take your time.
All right, so the plot. So one of the main characters, it starts off at a funeral.
Right.
Funeral for the titular sister, who is a werewolf. They establish this by doing the funeral, and then the next scene is Christopher Lee saying, "Your sister is a werewolf," and then he walks away dramatically.
Yeah, and then they find him, and he's like, "Let me show you this VHS."
Yeah, VHS of a news taping, because the sister is a news reporter, apparently.
Evidently. Who had a perm, and then at her funeral she doesn't. It doesn't matter. This is the sloppiest thing that I think I may have ever watched, because they're like details, schmeetails, I guess.
Yeah, who needs them?
Yeah, there's so many like weird, like where there's a bit where there's an old woman dying, and the girl leans right into her, and then surprised she's a werewolf. So she stands up, Christopher Lee stabs her, and then the camera cuts back out, and now the woman is standing like 6 feet away.
Yeah.
But they're like, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of really weird stuff where they're like, fuck it.
Yeah, like I
Nobody
said,
cares.
Who needs details?
They're all renting this for the tits.
Yeah. Yeah, of which there's a lot of in this film.
There are a lot of, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on. I guess, maybe that helped it. Maybe that helped it. I don't even know what else to say about this. Like, it's fucking insane, man. The werewolves look like hairy vampires.
Apes, I think.
Like like Planet of the Apes. Yeah, they look very Planet of the Apes with like longer body hair and more sparse.
Yep.
Yeah. They're all really horny.
Incredibly.
That's their main number one thing, is they just want to like murder, but you don't see them like eating people either, though.
No.
There's mention of it.
Yeah.
But you never actually visually see it happen. You just see them like doing a murder and then like having an orgy.
Pretty much.
Which is really more of a vampire thing.
Well, at least with vampires, they suck blood, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Like some,
yeah.
You know, some of them be like, you know, they, what do they do? They call it a clutch. And a vampire gets like 12 people or whatever and locks them in a basement and just keeps them all drained enough.
But
where
keeps them,
they're weak and they can't escape, but like keeps them alive so he can keep on sucking blood, I guess. I don't know. We did some ads about it. About vampires. Anyway, what else about this? So the vampires, the werewolves, one of them is immune to silver.
Yeah. Well, some of them are.
So just a handful of them are inexplicably.
So you have to use titanium.
I was about to say tungsten, which would have been equally as funny. Yes, so titanium. Let's see here. Just real quick. When was titanium discovered? In 1791. So when are OG werewolf stories?
Before that?
Yeah, I would assume way, way before that. That's why I'm trying to find it. Early sources for belief in this ability or affliction called lycanthropy are Petronius, 27 through 66, and Gervase of Tilbury, 1150 through 1228. So way before. So you have a werewolf that can only be killed by a thing that people won't discover for thousands of years. Yeah. I think people were just like, titanium, sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds rad, man.
Hard to deal with metal that you can't really manufacture things very easily with. Yeah, let's make knives out of them and kill werewolves.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, they do. The weird knives too, like very impractical weapons.
Like difficult to make.
He's got a knitting needle at first. You know what I mean?
A stake. At one of the scenes,
it's a knitting needle, is what it is. He slowly graduates from a knitting needle straight to a gun, and then to a smaller gun, and then back to primitive weapons like knives. And he's like the consecrated oil. He throws it. It's got like a timer. It's a grenade. It's just a grenade.
Not even a timer. He says some Latin stuff, throws it, and it explodes.
Like
reason.
It explodes in a couple seconds, though.
Yeah,
like he's got a timer on it. It's hilarious. Maybe that's how long it takes the Holy Spirit to activate them.
Gotta wake it up first.
I don't know. Do you have any? What else do you say about this? It
don't
is
know.
delightful, though. I don't want people to think I don't like it. This was a blast. Like, I really, really enjoyed this. Granted, we did watch it on Tubi, so it had ads.
Yeah.
I'm going to give that a bit. Like, that's a big stitch. I was just going to rent it, but it was unavailable the two places I looked.
I watched this film on a device that has ad blocker.
Ah, nice.
At least that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We did not. It made it, I would say it was like, 15, 20 minutes ads, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably less than 20.
Yeah.
But this is probably right in the pocket at like an hour 20, hour 30 runtime.
It's a good length.
Breezy, smooth. It's a good length. It doesn't feel too long. But we watched it like slowly stretched out over a longer period of time. But I'm not going to knock it for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, if you do go to watch this, probably see if you can find it elsewhere besides Tubi, because the ads.
If you can find the original VHS.
Yeah, if you can find it on Betamax, knock yourself out. This is outstanding, though. It's so weird because there's the guy and the girl. How do they even fucking know each other? They just like met at the funeral, and then they're inseparable, and then they get married at the end.
It's implied that they knew each other because there is a first film. This is a sequel, so they probably did meet each other.
True.
In the first film.
I probably have not seen The Howling since the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which, funny thing about this, they made another Howling after this film.
Didn't they make like 2 or 3 more?
They made like 2 or 3 more,
yeah. They've got hilarious names, too. Let me look them up. Let's see here.
Something better than Your Sister is a Werewolf?
It can't not be better than that. The Howling 3, what's this one called? This is just called Howling 3, The Marsupials. The fear is breeding fast. That's pretty
That is
great.
pretty good. It's pretty good.
The Marsupials, huh? That's fucking... Wow, this also looks like a hot piece of trash. The Howling 3 Echoes. Again, the warm breath of evil in the night.
Wait, there's 2 Howling 3s?
One is just called Howling 3. The other one is called The Howling 3.
Wait, why?
I don't know. If you see only one werewolf movie this year, I doubt it. I doubt that's the one that you want to watch. Wow, That looks pretty excellent.
Yeah,
look, check out that. Little screenshot action.
No.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit, there's probably one of the marsupials, probably. Wow, that looks great. So that's a fun thing that somebody made. Yeah, man, this is really fun, but I'm not sure what else to say about it. It's just like hot neon 80s fucking. Yeah. Like people are like, oh man, the 80s, that was so, everything was like neon lights and all these cool. Everything was brown and green. Yeah, everything was brown and green. Oh, like all the decor for everything.
Yeah, have you seen the
green
interior of an 80s car?
Yeah, it's brown or green.
Yeah.
Maybe yellow, which you could argue is almost brown as far as the shade.
It's just light brown.
Yeah, just lighter brown. I did like this, though.
Yeah.
I liked all the ridiculous weapons that people had, and the weird, like the main werewolf lady. She get like half the time her tits are out, the other half the time she's an old lady, the other half the time she's like a young, attractive woman, and she's wearing this like studded leather armor.
It's armor, but like fake armor.
Like the most exposed. It looked legit, though. You know what I'm saying? It looked like
somebody put effort in it.
Yeah, and then they were like, man, I'll make this sweet suit of armor, but just imagine it's for a lady, so I can see some cleavage and expose all the vital organs. You know, like it's the most impractical thing that actually looks like someone hand made it and was like, oh no, I actually have archer's armor or whatever.
Because this film is also digitally remastered, you can, because this is taped on, it's not tape, it's on film. So you can see that it's been remastered. So you can tell this is actual leather on this thing. This is a real prop.
It looks good.
It looks good.
But it's dumb.
It's dumb.
It's dumb that somebody made it. Like, what if she was wearing armor, like in a Dungeons and Dragons type of thing? And they're like,
What if it
like,
was...
Well, let me see what you're talking about. And they draw them a picture and like, oh yeah, leather armor. That actually looks really cool. It's like studded leather armor. That's badass. But needs more tits.
Let's remove this part and remove this part.
Let's take where we can see her hips and her butt cheeks and just her cleavage, like leaving it to be useless armor. She's got this staff. The staff looks real stupid, and it's got a rubber.
It's very rubbery.
It's super rubbery, and like when she like walks with it, when it hits the ground, the thing on the top like jiggles because it's like a silicone fucking monster or whatever.
Monster bat thingy.
Yeah, honestly, favorite part of the movie though for me is when she brings that. There's like a little gargoyle on top of her staff. And she's doing a spell, and she's chanting, and there's like, I don't know, probably electricity or something coming out of her fingers. And the thing comes to life and gets inside of a man after killing him.
It flies into his face.
It's really great. It's stupid, and it looks awful, and it is delightful. I loved it so much. It was like the biggest thing for me that I'm like, yes, thank you. Give me a weird puppet. Sure, throw it in there. A weird rubbery puppet. You know what I'm saying? That's good shit, though.
It is amazing. It is one of my favorite parts of this film.
Yeah, I loved, when I was a kid, like, my favorite thing that I saw, like, the first thing that I ever saw with, like, a monster that was, like, a movie with real people in it was Clash of the Titans. And I was hooked.
Yeah.
And that's, like, all claymation, stop-motion animation stuff. It looks great. Like, it looks delightful. And I'm like, wait a minute, you telling me somebody made a tiny little, like, a Play-Doh man this good looking, and then just sat there and moved it like one little tiny itty bitty increment at a time and just took pictures of it and lapsed them, and that's what this is? Yeah. Looks fucking great. And then you got, rubber chicken with wings putting its tail down that guy's throat or whatever that was.
It's like somebody saw when did the first Alien movie
They're just like, okay, so how does this thing kill the guy? I don't know. It puts a thing in his mouth. What kind of thing? Who the fuck cares? Just put a thing in the guy's mouth. People will figure it out.
When did the first Aliens movie come out? Because that was also in the 80s.
79?
79. So they probably saw that and was like,
Alien is my staple for a great science fiction film.
Yes. Like one of my favorites.
If it's as good as Alien, I'm in.
So they probably saw that and saw the facehugger.
Yeah, that's 79.
Yeah. And it was like,
fucking great movie.
You know what? I'm totally going to steal this idea. Let's have this gremlin bat thing shove its tail down this guy's mouth.
Oh, yeah. I think Gremlins had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
Or was about to come out?
I think that was actually 84.
Was Gremlins 84? I think so. That sounds right. Sounds right. You're onto something there. We just did Christmas. We just did Gargoyles, or Gremlins. Good Lord, I can't say anything. We just did the Gremlins episode for the Christmas special. Anyway, yeah, it was great. Go back and check that one out, I guess. So you got werewolf vampire guys. They're fucking everywhere though. It's like Hydra agents in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Everywhere.
They're just everywhere. They're like, the guy that works the front door at the hotel. Alien.
He's a werewolf.
Yeah, I'm like alien werewolf.
Vampire
alien werewolf. Yeah. You get it. The thing that we're talking about. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm about.
They're werewolves that turn into apes.
Man, a bunch of them do look like Planet of the Apes type. You know what I'm talking about, though? They're like Planet of the Apes, but with wolf ears.
Yeah, it's
a weird look.
I don't think it's done very well in this film.
They tried like the snoot, you know what I mean? Like to get the snoot of the animal, and then they're like, shit, that looks really bad.
They couldn't do it right.
Let's just do away with it. What do we know works? Planet of the Apes looked pretty good. Planet of the Apes did look good.
The scene where Adriana, is that her name?
Fuck, I don't know. Which one are you talking about? Is that the one that went from America to the punk rock concert to get impregnated because she's immune to silver bullets?
Yeah. She had the first time you see her werewolf face, which is not the same as her later werewolf face.
No. Can they choose what degree of werewolfiness they are? Is that
how do I know?
Is it like a dial, Nate? It's your favorite movie. You love this shit.
It's so bad.
This really is awful in the most delightful way. So when it briefly after the opening, you go to it's like a punk rock 80s concert or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's this guy in the band and he's singing this song and it's fucking stupid.
It's terrible.
It sounds bad. It's terrible. They play it like 13 times in the movie, exact same song. And they're not shy about it. They're like, we fucking love this song. And it's a real song by a real band. They didn't make that song for this movie.
He's got a hunger that's emotional, Danny.
It's a hunger that's emotional. He'll see you in his dreams, howling at the moon.
Howling.
Not at the moon. Just howling. He loves it. Howling too. Your sister's a werewolf. Just so you know.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. like. Ooh, listen, honey, we got some bad news. It's about your sister. No, she's going to be okay. She is a werewolf, though. Yeah. So, she's not allowed on the couch.
There's going to be a lot of hair. Don't ask her about it. Make things awkward.
Okay. Let's bust out the tool set, though. I'm done talking about it. What else you want to say about it? It's delightful. I loved it. What would you do if you could remake it present day to make it better? I tell you what, I would go full tilt comedy horror, like a heavy comedy, light on horror, and it would be The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. But it would just be like this guy who's like, he can't quite get it together. And on top it all off, his sister's a werewolf.
Like a sitcom kind of thing.
Yeah, like he goes to shower in the morning and there's like he has to pull like humongous hair clogs out of the drain and shit. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to sleep at night and his sister's in the other room like scratching and fucking like howling at the moon and shit. And he's like, oh, Katie, shut up. You know what I mean? That's it. But then occasionally she'll like kill somebody and he's got to help her deal with it. That's my The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
That would probably be amazing, but it probably would have nothing to do with the first film.
Oh, you could shoehorn in Christopher Lee if he was still alive. Just shoehorn him in like he's like always standing outside the house just fucking staring uncomfortably. You know who you get since Christopher Lee's passed away? You get Frank Langella. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I might need a picture as a reflection.
I got you, dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work.
Frank Langella would be fantastic. For the brother who just can't quite get it together, I'd get let me find his name.
So are we setting this Howling 2?
I'm just going for it right now. I'm
okay.
Full tilt. See here. What's the name of that movie? Here we go. For the brother that can't quite get it together, I think I would get... Oh, shit. Jack McBrayer would be pretty funny. But I was thinking Max Greenfield. Jack McBrayer would be funny, though. And then, like, maybe Ellie Kemper as the actual werewolf. The werewolf sister. No, she's too old. I don't know. You get somebody. Doesn't really make a difference. But anyway, that's the movie. So they would
probably be better than anything that's there already.
Oh, it's better than that thing that we just watched. I was saying we were watching it. I was like, you know what's horse shit is that they gave this
whole film.
They gave this the whole thing. Somebody gave this asshole $1 million and was like, hey, make this, and he's like, fucking whatever. And I have to work a real job, and they let this jackass make this. This is trash. Like, and it could easily not be trash. You could make it the exact same movie and just get a better director and a better cinematographer. Dump a little extra money into the costumes or cut more of them. You know what I'm saying?
Because there was a lot of it and none of it was good.
Right. They're full tilt into it and it's all bad. None of it's good. I think maybe the most convincing actual werewolf get up in the whole movie, and it was still awful, is that bit when they've got the girl hung up and she's in the bone room. You know what I'm talking about?
The Bone Zone.
The Bone Zone. Hey, welcome to the Bone Zone. My name's Kevin. You've ordered our BDSM package. Prepare to be beat shitless. She's in a room. There's full of bones. You get it. It's the Bone Zone. Anyway, she's strung up in the Bone Zone. And the guy comes back and that the other girl's like whipping him. The other werewolf girl, she's whipping him.
Yeah.
When he comes in the room, I was like,
it's the best, but it's also bad.
You're just being... I think it's just a mask, though. Like that one. I don't know. We bought this one at... Yeah. They bought it at Spirit of Halloween or whatever.
Yeah. It's not even a mask. It's just latex makeup.
It's the best looking one in the whole movie, and it still looks like shit. They all look like shit. By the way, Bone Zone, glad I brought that back up because that was a good joke. Yeah, but how funny would it be if it was like a fucking sitcom thing? So what's the catalyst where she has to kill somebody? Is it Frank Langella has like would-be werewolf hunters that are trying to break into the house and kill her all the time?
I think probably the best catalyst for that for this theoretical film
Mm-hmm.
would be if one night it's a full moon and she has a hard time controlling it this night.
Oh, you wanted to make it horror element again.
I want to go for comedy horror.
I'm wanting to make the like her killing her as a very like facts of life, like oh Jennifer or whatever her name is. But it's only because I wanted to have a bit where like her being a werewolf interferes with like him getting with a girl he likes or whatever. So they get mad at each other and they're like, I fucking hate you. And then they split up and then she almost gets murdered. He narrowly saves her and he's like, actually, I love you. You're my sister. Even if you are a werewolf, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't dislike where you're coming from, but then that would be, how would you get from A to B with that? You know what I mean? Because you've got the goofy, like picking up the hair out of the drain. He's like, aw, his toothbrush, it just looks like it's covered in pubes or whatever. It's like hair and drool. He like steps in vomit or whatever on the floor. It's just like owning a really giant dog.
A really giant dog that also has human
just regular, like annoying qualities, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they trip over their shoes or whatever. You know what I mean? Just a thing that they do because it's also your sibling. I think that'd be funny. And then you work it straight into she just starts murdering people in the house. That's pretty twisted, man. You could have her like
you gotta still stick to the comedy though. You could have
here's what you do. You have her like murder like a caretaker or something like that while their parents are out on a date night.
So like
maybe how do you get there and still
Weekends with Bernie or whatever it's called kind of style thing.
Weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah. So you got to do something with that caretaker to make it to make them think, okay, so everything went fine. Kind of stage things right.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know how that would work though.
Like a marionette with strings outside the patio or whatever. That'd be pretty good. That's a decent idea. Do you have any other angles to take this to make it better? I think it's pretty simple that if you got a cameraman that knew what the fuck he was doing, the look looked better, and the director actually gave a shit about any of the details.
Because at least with this, we're sticking to one werewolf.
With those three things, I mean, maybe also pass it over a rewrite. There you go. I picked 4 things.
Yeah.
You would have a way fucking better movie. Like, way better with just those 3 things. Like, you could even use the same script because it's not awful.
Even one of those things is a huge improvement.
Yeah, like, because those 3 things are really, really atrocious in this, which is part of what makes it so delightful. What other angles would you go with this?
I would think after the murder of said caretaker, that's when the werewolf hunters would go crazy. And then you have... I don't know how you would keep this in the comedy area, but we could probably do, let's say, the sister and the brother.
There's a bit where she like looks right at the camera and goes, "Rut-row." Just a Scooby-Doo joke. There you go.
Oh,
you just dip your toes back in. Just make it very, very murdery and intense, and then real quick, just hand-fisted hard as hell. Hey, jokes. You remember jokes?
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, that is an angle.
I think it would be delightful. I'm just saying, if anybody wants to give me $1 million to make that movie, I guarantee I'll make more money than that.
Oh, yeah.
If people would watch it, though. I don't know. How do you make people watch a movie? That's probably just marketing, I suppose.
Good advertising.
Yeah, good advertising goes a long way. I'm bad at that. Who fucking cares, though? No, I love it. I love our version of the Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf. Did the first Howling have when they used to put a colon after everything? Like,
I think the first one was just called The Howling. I think.
Your grandma might be a werewolf. Maybe, we're not sure. That's what that was called.
I think what the story was, the sister was the main character in the first film.
Okay.
And she was trying to do a news coverage and encountered werewolves and was trying to cover it.
Ended up
becoming a werewolf. And the tape,
the rest is history.
Yeah, the tape scene that's in the second movie was probably the end scene in the first.
I can at least respect that continuity. If that is correct, that would be great.
I hope it's correct.
Does anybody want my source? Don't care. Maybe we're making it up. Who knows? If I doesn't
it's
matter.
A lot better than what probably there is.
How many very impractical knives? If your thumbs were stupid fucking knives that were crafted by an idiot, How many knife thumbs would you give this out of 10?
As a normal film,
Nah, we're not doing that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, we dropped that completely. I mean, you're still free to say it, but that one doesn't count.
Okay. Probably a 1 or 2.
Okay.
But as one of the funniest things I have ever seen, probably a 9 or 10.
Well, you got to pick one.
9.
I'll go 9.5. I had a fucking absolute hoot with this. This was a lot of fun to be had. Yeah, I if there was less nudity in it, I would have called my kid.
It was everywhere in the
I would have
film.
called my kid in there to watch it with us
was
because it was
everywhere.
so fun. I was like, "Hey, come look at this nonsense." But yeah, there's tits all over the place or whatever.
Entire 3-minute scenes of weird werewolf sex.
Like it's not just yeah, exactly. it's not just tits. There's a lot of weird werewolf sex, like a lot. A bunch, and it's very weird, and I don't want my kids to think that's how.
So earlier in the podcast, you mentioned the quote, how could you tell what pornography is?
Oh, yeah.
Where would you say this film lands on that?
It's pornography. It is pornography. I can't tell you what pornography is, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. I think, man, I don't know who said that. I'm going to look it up real quick. Oh, shit. All right. The phrase was used in 1964 by United States Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart
Really?
to describe his threshold test for obscenity in Jacobelli versus Ohio. I know it when I see it is widely cited as Stewart's test for obscenity, although he never used the word obscenity himself in the short occurrence.
Huh.
All right, so it's obscenity, not pornography.
Okay.
Anyway, that was our famous segment, Misquoted Things. Don't you love it?
I like the misquote better.
Yeah. Me too. I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, no, I thought this was a blast. Next segment of the show. Do you know the next segment of the show? It's called What You Watching. What
Before we get to that, we have to talk about the credits.
Oh my god. Okay, so the credits, they're playing the fucking awful song, and on the fucking drum beat, it shows the lady ripping her shirt off like 20 times.
I think it's 32.
It's quite delightful. Well, they've also cut it with people making making surprised eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
there's one scene where somebody's eyes exploded out of their face.
Yeah, you're supposed to come when the eyes explode. That's the idea, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's fucking weird though. But
hey, what you watching?
For this segment of the show, Nate, what we do is what have you been watching, man? Is there anything you've been, a show you got into, a movie, new album you started listening to, comic book, game you've been playing?
With music, I've been binging on Yes, actually.
Nice.
One of my favorite rock groups. But no, I've got to talk about an anime that I just finished watching.
Okay, gotcha. Lay it on me, brother. What you got?
It is
What's it called?
Made in Abyss.
Made in Abyss. Like maiden, like a lady?
No, made in Abyss.
Okay, gotcha.
So, when I first heard of this film, someone was describing this to me, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's a film, not a series?
So there's 3 films, but the first 2 films are compilations of the season 1.
Okay.
So if you actually want to watch this, watch season 1 and then film 3.
Okay,
and
fair
then
enough.
season 2 that will be coming out in a couple months.
Okay.
So they were talking to me about this, and I was like, and then I finished watching it, and I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? It is weird.
Weird stuff, huh?
Weird stuff. So
what's the spoiler-free? Give me a spoiler-free synopsis, and then just tell me if you are liking it.
All right. Spoiler-free synopsis. 2,000 years ago, random island was found, and there's a giant hole in island, and nobody knows how deep it is. So they built a city around this hole, and there's a whole occupation of people.
Loving that big hole.
Yeah, there's a whole occupation of people who go down.
Whole occupation. Oh, thank you very much.
Who go down and collect ancient relics from this giant hole in the ground. Yeah,
okay.
Abyss they call it.
Okay, but it's a hole with relics in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's an ancient civilization that lived in this giant hole in the ground.
Okay. Are they like Godzillas or something?
There are a lot of monsters.
Nice.
A lot of monsters. This film is about body horror.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of that in this.
Do you know who like produced it?
Oh,
you know what? I'm just gonna Google it. Bro. You keep talking. Continue your synopsis.
So the main character is a 12-year-old child, because how they get the cave dwellers is from orphanages, because you kind of have to acclimate your body to the curse of the abyss, they call it.
Okay.
Because you can go down as far as you want, but if you're to try to climb back up, it could affect your body. And there's different layers, and the further down you go, the worse it can be.
It's illustrated by Akito Tsukushi. Yeah, 13 episodes.
So
it looks good. I'm liking the look of it.
The art is great, but I'm not sure if I can recommend it.
Just too fucking weird, huh? Dude, I've watched a couple like that where I'm like, well, I'm 7 episodes in now.
You watch it.
Might as well hang on a little longer. I'm like, man, this shit is fucking weird.
When I'm watching it, I'm not sure if because it's based off of a manga. It's really weird. It's a good show. The ideas in it are good. The whole thing, because the main character is trying to go to the bottom because that's where her mother is, or at least that's where she thinks her mother is.
Just need a parachute.
Well, she encounters. Well, the thing is,
hang glider.
There's a lot of flying monsters.
Oh,
yeah. So,
wait till you're almost at the bottom.
So what's helping her go down is that she encounters a robot child who lost his memory, probably because she pumped him with a bunch of electricity to wake him up.
Okay, gotcha.
So he's trying to find out why he's been made. Who is he? What is he? Mm-hmm. She's trying to find her mother. So they're trying to get all the way to the bottom.
And that's what it's about, huh?
Yeah. And there's a...
Spoiler free. How many episodes is that in?
That's
the first 9 episodes.
That's established in episode 1. They're trying... Yeah.
All right, perfect. So how is it, though? You're like, I'm not sure if I'd recommend it, but I'm still watching it, so...
It's good, but it's also...
fucking kind of weird?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there are some scenes that are like, I'm not comfortable watching this.
Yeah.
But I'm too far in.
Too far to turn back.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Anything else you've been getting into?
I mentioned Aliens earlier. There's an Aliens video game called Alien Isolation.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Alien Isolation. I haven't played it. I can't do horror games, man.
Yeah.
Fucking scare me too bad.
It is terrifying.
Yeah, I'm not into that shit.
But it's good.
Yeah.
If you're into the original art style of the Alien movie, the first one.
I'm talking about by H.R. Giger?
Yes. They grab that specific art style, some of the assets. It's perfect.
Nice.
It is amazing.
Giger had a wild fucking style for that shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's an interesting fellow. Well, for myself, for my own 2 cents, I finished Watchmen, the comic book I've been reading for over a fucking year because I don't have time to read. Mm-hmm. Finally finished Watchmen. 9 out of 10. It's great.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is because, well, the artwork's a bit dated, and also I already know what happens. But it was a great fucking read. I just don't get a lot of time. I'll get an hour or 2 to read, and then I won't get time to read for 3 months.
Yeah.
So it takes me a really long time to finish anything, unless it's super breezy and I can read it in 10-minute chunks. Different story. I can blow through something pretty quick like that. I'm about to get back on and read the rest of Amy Stewart's The Drunken Botanist, which reads more like a textbook written by somebody with a sense of humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I find that stuff delightful. I like it a lot. So yeah, that's what I've been getting into. I've been watching Dexter: New Blood. Do you give a shit about that?
I've been hearing about it.
It's fine. It's fine. Is it some of the best television I've ever seen? No, but it's better. All right, my last memory of Dexter was the last episode, me being like, "What a fucking sham! Way to blow it!" A couple of weak seasons there at the end, and then you finally get to the finale and you fucking blew it. So it is better than that.
That's good.
Yeah, it's better than that. It's still entertaining. It's still going. So it's got a couple episodes left, I think. As far as movies, what have I seen lately as far as movies? Oh, I've just been watching stuff for the show pretty much and playing a fuckload of Animal Crossing. So relaxing. Yeah. Man. I tell you, it's it's just very relaxing. It's relaxing to just go pick a garden. You know what I mean?
Probably one of the best games for that.
It really is. And since they've got that update where there's all kinds of new shit, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm digging it. I've been listening to, actually got back on a Glassjaw kick. Are you familiar with the band Glassjaw?
What's an example?
Rai Rai's song, Tip Your Bartender. It's like, say like post-industrial punk metal, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure there's a better description for it than that. I'm terrible with genres. It's metal-ish.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great though. I'll let you listen to a little snippet when we're done here. I mean, that's all I've got for the thing. Your haircut looks really nice.
Oh, thank you.
You guys aren't going to start sucking each other's dicks, are you?
Let's all that gold talk! We're a one-eyed Batman!
Can I make a suggestion that doesn't involve violence? Or is this the wrong crowd?
Maybe we should call in a bomb threat to Houston. I think it's free beer night at the Astrodome.
We're Jedi, Bob. We don't fight with guns, we fight with our mind. Cousin, business is booming.
That is one big pile of shit.
Jog on.
It's Just Two Movies is a production of Blue Cheese and Bacon Studios and can be found wherever you get your podcasts.
When did the first Alien movie
They're just like, okay, so how does this thing kill the guy? I don't know. It puts a thing in his mouth. What kind of thing? Who the fuck cares? Just put a thing in the guy's mouth. People will figure it out.